everyone, it's Lori from Stampinology, and I have a new card for you today. This is a fun fold. This is my sample here. I just got a pot of stuff. Here's my sample. It's a twist open. So you grab a hole and you pop it open like that. Yeah, pretty cool. I think this works really good for masculine cards. If you want it to sit up, just kind of do that. Hopefully you can see that. It's a little bit, when you're looking down, it's a little bit there. How's that? No, come on, sit there. No, not working. But you get the gist. It does stand up. So people who like to put cards on mantles or prop them up on desks, you certainly have a way to do it here. So let's get started. This is not my original design. This comes from Jennifer Helm from Faithfully Stamping. I did a lot of messing with this. I like to show you guys. These are my samples that I make for myself with numbers and stuff. You can tell one card is bigger. This is the metric version. This is the imperial version. So hopefully the numbers I give you will work beautifully for you. And let's get started. I've got everything cut here because nobody wants to see me sit and cut and cut and cut, because you all know how to use a paper trimmer. This is the stamp set I'm using today, and the die set, actually die set and stamp set. This is a fairly new one from Stampin' Up! Called Nature Symphony. I really like this. The paper, these are some of the papers that come with it. This is what I'm using today. Let's put that out of the way. So anyway, seen that, set this aside and get going. We're going to start with a half sheet cardstock, cut lengthwise. So if you guys need numbers on that one, it's going to be 10.5 centimeters by 29.7. We're going to score halfway, which is 14.85 centimeters. If you're working with me today in Imperial, this is your basic 4.5 by 11, scored at 5.5. All right, so first part, easy peasy. Second part is actually easy peasy as well. This took some fiddling with. Jennifer says in her video that she tried many times making a score line here to help with what we're doing. And she says she doesn't know why it didn't work, but I do. Don't bother trying to make a score line, because what we're doing here is we're going card, what do you call it? I guess if it were fabric, it'd be warped and weft. But the way the fibers go in the card are left and right and up and down. There are no diagonal fibers. So anytime you try to make a diagonal fold, instead of forcing the fibers apart, like this kind of fold does, you're going against them. So anyway, having said all of that, this is the easy way. This is actually your mechanism. So you're going to fold the front of your card up. Sorry, I should just tape that down. And you want to make a point right here. Now, I'm trying not to stick my head in the way. I have to sort of pick it up and take a look. Okay, so I've got a little point made, and this goes along the top, just like that. All right, you have to hold it tight, and then I want you to gently push down the fold. So you can see it's having a hard time folding here. Okay. Just check before I get any more serious. Okay, I got it a little off. So at this point, you can still adjust if you need to. Okay, now I got a nice perfect point going on here. Hold it tight, push it down again. All right, and then the more certain you are, the more you push down. And then finally, when you feel like I got it where I want it, grab your oldie bone folder and give it a good smear. Now, as I said, these will never be as beautiful as that. But it doesn't matter, because you're not going to see this. But if anybody wondered, though, that's the explanation of why your diagonal folds never can be quite as crisp and pretty. So anyway, having said that, let's go to decorating, because that's the fun fold part. That's all we have to do. Not a complicated one. I have seen many twist open cards. Be honest with you, I loved the simplicity of this one. It's probably the easiest one to decorate, and you can just really go crazy with this, because all you really need is a square to cover this. So I have chosen Old Olive. By the way, this is, if you're following along with me and you're a Stampin' Up! Person, this is Pretty Peacock. That's this color. And this is Old Olive. So that fits in there so you just perfectly. Let me scroll down here just a tiny bit, and then I can, because I've got my notes on the computer here, I can tell you all of these sizes. So this is a 10 centimeter by 10 centimeter square. If you're working in metric, it's 4 inches by 4 inches for imperial. And then we're only going to glue it to the corner here. Now, you can use regular glue. If you've got a few minutes, you know, you're piddling around doing other things, I'm not going to do it this way because I want to get the video going. But I have used my seal, my Stampin' Up! Seal to do this. But you can use glue. If you're paranoid about it, you can go ahead and use something really strong, like a double-sided, like a tear and tape. But you don't really need to do that. And honestly, I'm doing it this way for speed more than anything else. All right, so I don't mess my thing up here. Can't go over. I mean, I want to be close to this edge down here. Yeah, come on. So I'm placing my glue down along this edge here. And I put that down just so I don't have any overrides. Then we're going to go fairly close to the side because I have left a little bit of border. Come on. My seal is not cooperating today. Here we go. No, that's okay. Just throw it on the floor. Now, here we've got our 4x4, 10x10 square. You want to leave, get this out of the way. We want to leave our basic border around. So, line it up on here. Same border here, 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 and here. So, at first glance, I mean, it's going to flop open a little bit. You can't help that. First glance, excuse me, it should be even all the way around. Also, a tip is if you line up point to point here, that's a big helpful one too. Okay, and basically, that's the card front. Excuse me. From here on here, we decorate. From here on out, we decorate. I chose to go, and Jennifer did this as well, and I thought this was very, very pretty, so I just repeated it. I'll give you some numbers here. The next layer that I have on here is, this is, did I use cloud cover on this? I used cloud cover for this, and that's one of the end colors. This is 8.9 centimeters by 8.9 centimeters, another square. If you're working with me in metric, it's 3 5/8 by 3 5/8. Okay, got that? Now I have all this written down on my website, so if you guys need to, you can either pause, come back and listen to me chatter on again, or you can just go to the website and check it out. I loved what Jennifer did, so I repeated that here. She made a slightly larger border than what we normally do. We normally stick to 2 centimeters, 2.5 to or 1/8 of an inch. But I liked this that it was slightly larger. It gave us a bit more green showing here. And you know, you just do your thing. You take your glue and glue it on here. Easy, easy, easy. And this is part of the decorating. So the only piece here that you actually need is going to be this square for the front. And then you can go about your decorating business. You don't have to copy this. That's what I'm trying to say. All right, so that's easy. Now I have cut a piece of designer series paper. Is this not the most beautiful stuff? This paper is so pretty. I really, really like it. It's all shades of blue and green, very oceany, earthy kind of colors to it. There's a little bit of the browns in here. And it's just really, I think it's very versatile. I consider these to be more along the masculine card signs. Well, hence my greeting to a great guy. But I do feel like they're more masculine colors, but not necessarily, because I did a Valentine's Day out of this for a friend of mine, so it doesn't have to be masculine. So decide how you want this to fit. Now you see I made this much smaller border here. So to cut this piece, you're going to need an 8 by 5 or 8.5 centimeter by 8.5, or if you're working with me in Imperial, it's 3.5 by 3.5. Okay, and we're going to put some glue on the back of this one because I'm going flat down. Let's see, do I want it this way or do I want it on the bottom? Oh, I think I want the darker bit on the bottom. Let's do it this way. Okay, glue down. I think that's got it. There we go. All right, that's the first half done. You can decorate this or not. Gosh, why would you not decorate it? You know what I'm saying? So let me give you some numbers to decorate that. We have a base piece, just like we cut over there. And this rectangle is, I gotta go back and look at my notes. Sorry about that. It's 3 centimeters, 3.3 across this way, and 10 centimeters down this way. It's going to be 3¼ inches in Imperial and 4 inches down this way, which, as you remember, that was the same as this because we had the 4-inch square. All right, let's put some glue on here, slap it down. This is a new glue bottle, so I'm never quite sure how hard to press. Sometimes you get glue spoogies, which nobody likes. Okay, then you want to kind of... come on, don't stick it. Didn't get enough glue on here, it's not sliding for me. Come on, straighten up. Don't normally have this much trouble. It's because y'all are watching. There you go, that's pretty straight. All right, there we go. Now our interior piece, the next level, which is same on this side, we're going to do same. And this rectangle is 2.2 centimeters by 8.9 centimeters, or 1/2 inch by 4. That shouldn't be 4. That's the wrong number in there. This should be a little shorter than that. So it'll be 1/2 inch by 3 3/4. Sorry about that. I will make sure that I go back and fix that on the website. Now, since I'm working metric here, I have already cut this. Do you know what? I will fix that on the next side. That is wrong. Sorry if you are working with me in Imperial. Sometimes it gets really difficult going back and forth. I'm fine if I just work in Imperial. That's how I was raised. But I've got, let's see, new glue. Hate this. Let's get rid of this. Look at that. Now, perhaps I can go back and use that again. I don't know. We'll try. Okay, and now we're going to center this up onto here. Okay, got a tiny bit of glue spoogie. Hate that. Clean it up. Love that take your pick tool. Now, if you are working with me in Imperial, there's not going to be enough room here unless you are super good at cutting tiny, skinny, narrow pieces. You will not be able to put another piece on top of that. And it's got to do with the length of the paper, because as you guys know, this is the paper that we use here in Europe is a lot longer than the standard American cardstock. So this is going to be wider. So the numbers I have given you are for using, the Imperial numbers are for using the more narrow cardstock. So when I tried to make this up in the Imperial, I could not. You can cut a piece that skinny. I'm not that dedicated. So if you do, maybe leave me a note on the blog telling the size for anybody that comes in the future. That would be really helpful. But meanwhile, you're going to have to stick here. Now, because I can, is this the one? I've got two here. Which one is it? I think it's that one. Yep, it's this one. In my Imperialness, I have done one, and this is excuse me, reading my notes. Sorry about that. Crumb cake cardstock. It's 1.8 centimeters by 8.5 centimeters. Oh, I should have used my extra glue to do that. I wasn't thinking. All right, let's pick this up. I'm going to go upside down with this. I like this slightly darker bit at the bottom. All right, now continuing our decoration, just because this is fun, and I want to show you guys how awesome this is. What I did was I used Mossy Meadow for this, and as I said, this die cut comes from the Greenery Nature's Symphony, and this is one of the dies in there. Now I kind of played with how I wanted this to go on here, and I also decided to glue this flat. Sometimes when you have these really thin, whatever you call these, branches, I guess, it makes it more difficult for them to stay up. So if you try to use a like a dimensional underneath, you can really run into some serious problems. Just gonna get some glue on here from my earlier mess up. You can do, if you were smart, which I wasn't in this case, you can cut this out and first back it with some double-sided adhesive. That makes this job massively easier. Okay, let's get a little more on here. Yeah, I know this looks like a mess. I can't do anything without making a mess. I don't know if anybody else is like that. It's my inner child. That's what I like to think. It just sounds so much better than messy human. All right, stick this down here. I want it to poke up a little at the top here, a little on the side, and a little at the top, but not that much at the top. Let's go over to the side here like that. See how it wants to sort of switch in here? This is weak right here. So once you get this in place and stuck down, I highly suggest you give it a moment or two to dry. Also, it gives it great dimension, but as you see, I got a little much glue on this, and so the glue has come up through there. So what I'll do is I will come back after we're all done here, and I will take my glue eraser and clean that off of there. Now I have used another die cut from the same group. How interesting is that? It looked very wood grain to me. Although after I got it done and it was sitting on my desk, I thought, oh, maybe that's not wood grain. Maybe that's like an ocean swirl. So anyway, whatever you think it might work out as, that's what I used here. I thought, not popped anything up yet. Definitely want to do some popping up. So I glued my greeting, which is another piece of cloud cover. And I glued that to this. So, let's see. I want it to show, but not. I don't know. Yeah, I kind of like that. All right. So these two pieces I glued together. You can see, messed it up. Had to stamp it again. I think everybody does that. Does a bit of that. And if you don't and you get it perfect the first time, I will have to absolutely be jealous. All right. Come on. Straight. I guess it doesn't really have to be straight. This could sort of be in anything. Bit obsessed with getting it straight though. There, that will do. All right, and I put some dimensionals on the back of this because dimensionals. I love dimensionals. I think that's what makes our handmade cards really stand out and be special. It separates them from the chaff of what's in the grocery stores. All right. I'm going to put one all the way to the end. Now, placing these this way, kind of on purpose. Yep. Because I thought when I made this one that it needed a little something else. I wasn't sure what, but I wanted a little something else. So after I got it all done, I thought, oh, I think this is a great place to put a bit of linen thread. I put these on, I glued them down, then I took a needle and I thread that linen thread in there. Don't do that. Don't be that guy. I drove myself crazy for almost half an hour trying to get that up under there without taking it back apart. Just put it in to begin with. Well, but although, you know, just so you know, you can. So basically, I took 3 fingers and I wrapped this around 3 times. Did I do 3? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yep, like that. Then I managed successfully to get my fingers out from under it. Kind of, I didn't tie a knot in the middle. I just sort of did a twist. So, and it wants to twist. So it would stay together. Kinda, sorta. Let's get my scissors, cut this off. Then I took some more of my tape. Where'd you go? Oh, that's right. I dropped it on the floor. Hang on. However you do it, glue doesn't work very well for this, so I highly recommend putting a bit of this stick 'em on there. And set this underneath it. Like that. And use the sticky. You can sort of arrange it a bit, which is sort of nice. Well, it's not sort of nice, it's very nice. And then press down the sticky. If you're not a trusting sort, you can put another piece of something on top of it. But that's pretty much going to stay there. It's not going to do anything. So now we take our pieces off. And put this down. So just decide basically where you want it. I kind of went slightly south of the middle. Kind of did side to side and slightly south to the middle. All right, there we go. And now we can pull these out a little more now that we've got them down. Yeah, that's sticky. I will definitely have to go back in and do something about that. It's almost dry. I'll do it in a minute. I don't know if anybody's ever used one of these. I got this from Amazon. It's called a glue eraser. And this thing works. To clean it though, you have to go in and pull the glue off with your fingers, which is kind of a shame, but yuck, it works as long as it works. But you just take and rub it over your dried glue and it will roll it up off your paper. And sometimes you can actually see the glue, but you can see a shiny place. See, it rolled it up here, but it doesn't want to get rid of it. Yep. And then there's one that flopped up here. We don't want that. I'm just checking it to make sure it's not still sticky. Any more stickies here? Nope. Now I die cut another little tiny piece to put here, which was also part of the this die set. But I seem to have misplaced it. It's not hanging around here. Oh, there it is. There it is. There it is. Hold on. I just thought I wanted just a little more something here. So I die cut this one. See if I can pick up some glue. Now, I highly recommend using the double-sided adhesive. You put it on back of your paper, then you die cut it, and wow, it makes your life so much easier. Especially if you've got really fine die cuts like these. So I just lined this up in the middle here. And I did it off camera, but my glue sheet over here that I messed up, I just rubbed it across it. Which actually, it works well with die cuts anyway, to intentionally do it that way. Put a bit of glue on there. But you don't have a lot of control. So that will need a moment to dry. Now when we open our card, we need to do something lovely for the inside. Like this. And where are my inside pieces? Oh dear. I seem to be missing some inside pieces. I had a great big piece of, where are you? Oh, okay. Well, we can certainly cut it again. Let me get out my cloud cover. Like I said, don't really like doing this because people need to see big hulking mistakes. But hey, gotta finish the card. I can give you the numbers on this. I liked the fact you can do it different ways. I intentionally picked this colorway with the crumb cake here because I knew the crumb cake would make a nice interior piece. Same thing with the cloud cover. That's why I chose a pale piece to go here. You can write on the olive. I could do that, the center part in olive, but I didn't think it would. I don't know. It seemed too dark. This seems more like a nice surface to write on. So let me give you some numbers for cutting this. Okay, come on. Okay, come on. There we go. A large rectangle. So I'm going to cut this one 10 centimeters by 14.35. On your imperial card, you'll cut it 5 1/4 by 4 inches. You guys probably recognize that size. That is your standard inside measurements whenever you're making a, I don't know what I call a full cover background. It's a pretty much standard measurement though. So let me give a second. I know I'm working off camera. I'll go fast here. This was definitely an unintended bit. Let's go by 10. Did the rest of my pieces. Don't know why I didn't do this one. Now, of course, you can stamp or do whatever on the inside, but I do recommend a liner, and it does bring nice inside and outside together for your card. Let's go ahead and pop this down. So you don't quite have good control over my glue bottle yet. Does anybody else have that problem whenever you open a new glue? Don't quite have it together. All right, let's put this in. We're going to center it up on this piece. Like that. Oops, I cut it too long. Ah, blimey. Hang on, what did I do? 14.35. Nope. Did it too long. Now I have to clean up my paper. I have to clean up my paper trimmer. Oh well. Just goes to show you guys. Lots of mistakes everywhere, all the time. Happening like fun. All right, nice and straight there. Now, you can choose to decorate this side or not. I'm going to show you what I have done. When you open your card, it lays this way to have it lay flat. I chose to go ahead and decorate here. Jennifer did on one of her examples. On the others, she didn't. I thought it looked just fine. I guess it depends on what kind of paper. You can also, and I tell you, this is a fun thing to do. You can make your base out of like a designer series paper. That looks really good too, because you've got, when you fold it this way, you'll have one pattern edging on the outside. And then when you open, you'll have another pattern. And by doing that, you can absolutely get rid of this piece if you don't want to do it, if you don't want to cut more layers and layers. So anyway, for this on the left side piece, if you're working with me in metric, it's 4 centimeters by 10. You'll probably recognize that because this is 10 going down this way. So let's glue this down. You really want to, and this is also a tip from Jennifer, glue this right side piece down first. And you probably say, well, why? Because if you try to glue this one down first and match it to here, this is not as even as you would think. Because this switches and moves, it's going to be slightly different from top to bottom, although I did really well there. But on this other one, I think I made it a little bit, yeah, you're a little bit more space here than down here. So keep that in mind. Put this piece on first. Why? Because if you center this one between the two, you won't have any big funky looking gaps. So I'm centering this up. So doing this, I'm going to have a slightly wider gap here. Looks like. Yep. And that's why I do that. It just helps you visually to get it centered on here a little bit better. All right, the next piece I put on was just like that. I'm mimicking the front. So rectangle next is rectangle 41. So layer piece. This is the layer piece. This is 2.9 centimeters by 8.9. Or in imperial, it's 3/4 of an inch by 3 3/4 of an inch. So we will affix these pieces together. Some people like to glue these together first. I don't care. I can glue them directly onto the cardstock or not. I wanted to do the numbers. I have a tendency when I glue them together first is forget to tell you guys the numbers. I have done that in past videos. I'm going to kind of slide that up a little bit because I had a glue spooge. That will keep it from making a lump. Down just a shade. I think that will do it. And again, here's my inside piece that's going to go here. And what we have, see, this is actually slightly wider than our outside piece here. So whether or not you put another inside is going to be totally up to you when you're working with imperial. But this piece that goes here, the designer series paper piece, is 2.5 by 8.5. So like I said, you can make a narrow one if you want, or you can have it just mimic the outside without one. It looks very nice to do that. So it's just up to you whether you want to do that extra piece when you're working in imperial. Because this will be a lot narrower, remember? I wish my Imperial one weren't so crappy. I wouldn't mind showing you. But when I make these up for my own test purposes, I use scraps that are hanging around. And I draw all over them and I write notes. And so basically they wind up looking like that. See how nasty that is? So I tried to do a DSP strip. Didn't work. So I had to just do the plain one. And the inside was narrow enough. I didn't do the DSP either. So you can see we're wider here than this card. But it's a lot narrower when you're talking on. See, that's quite a bit there. So that's why I say, you probably, if you're working in Imperial with me, you won't want to put this extra piece on there. All right, now you can leave it here. You can stamp this. You can walk away. I specifically wanted it to stand up. This will stand up on its own. But I was afraid, after having been mailed like this for a long time, that it wouldn't do that. So I cut an extra piece of paper and I glued it here to look good. I thought this would work on both dimensions, whether you're doing Imperial or metric. I thought this would be a great way to bring our paper inside, especially if you didn't do this piece. And this tiny little lip here is enough for our card point to catch on. And if you don't feel like it is, you can always back it with another piece the same size. Just put a piece of cardstock on the back and then pop it in here. And I went with the more narrow border here. To mimic this one instead of going for the wide border. I got a little glue spoogie. I can see the shadow. Straighten this out. Here we go. Now let me give you some numbers for this piece. Here we go. If you're working with me in Imperial, it's 3.3 centimeters by 9.6. And that's how you get that super narrow edging here on the three sides. And I didn't even put it for, I didn't even put one because I didn't put it on my original sample. So I'll have to go back and figure what that is too. Yeah, give me a minute. Let's figure this out. We can do this. We're smart. So this inside piece is 4 inches. So that means the top to bottom is going to be brain just blanked out. It's going to be 3 3/4 inch long this way, Imperial people. And in this way, we want it to stand up. So it will be about, I would do a 1 inch strip. I would do 1 inch wide by 3 3/4. And that's what that equivalent of what that would be if you were working with me in Imperial. Okie dokie. And I will go back and I will add that to my directions as soon as I get this packaged up and done. So that's our card. I hope you guys like this today. I hope it wasn't too fumbly. I felt like I was really, really more fumbly than normal. But this is an awesome set. Now, see, it's not sitting right. What did I do? This should just sit right over the top. Ah, I see. Okay. You did it. Excuse me. And this is it. So twist open and twist close. I think this makes a great guy card, a great teen or a guy card. And if you're a guy watching this and you think I'm just blowing smoke, please leave a comment. But I don't think I am. My kids, teenagers, they're adults now, but when they were teens, you would give them a card and they would go, "Oh yeah, that's nice. Thanks, Mom." Pretty much they didn't even really look at it. And my husband will look at it more than that. But if you give him something that has some interaction to it, he will go, "Oh, that's cool. Look at that. Oh, I like that." And he will actually look at it. So just saying, ladies, if you are really wanting to do guy cards or teenager cards, if you give them a little something different, like a fun fold, it's going to go over much better. I'm not saying your regular cards aren't fabulous. I know they are, because after all, we're all in this together and we're doing this to have a good time. But I am saying that if you want to intrigue them and get them to do more than go, oh, that's nice, thank you, give them a little something to do. And this one is super easy. I would venture to say this is a great intro into actually doing fun folds, because the concept is easy, but so is the actual execution. All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed this. If you were watching me on YouTube, I would really appreciate the old thumbs up if you want more of this kind of content. Hit subscribe. I have lots and lots of videos out there. If you're watching me on Facebook, I always appreciate a little heart, because I heart you too. Guys, have a great day. Thanks a lot.